Hello, hello, and welcome to this episode of the Damien and Danielle download. And I have got my good friend all the way from Australia, who is our practice management guru, Damien, on the line. And we are going to go through all things about Power Diary. So, Damien, how you been?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. It's been busy. That product team and dev team, they are keeping us on our toes with all of these new features and new tweaks that they're doing within the system. It's a very exciting time here at Power Diary.
It is indeed. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to go through today. So
We do.
Exciting to see.
It is. And last time we went really long because there was so much stuff, and it was our first time really getting so many things coming out. So we both printed off our list, which I think are going to be helpful so we don't miss anything. And I think we should just jump right in because we do have some really cool awards to talk about and some other things at the end. We want to save time for that. So let's get in. Let's start with our favorite new feature, Telehealth Plus.
Yeah, so Telehealth Plus, we've got some, we've been doing progressive releases on Telehealth Plus. So this is, as the name suggests, Telehealth plus a whole bunch more stuff involved or capacity. So of course you can have group calls in Telehealth Plus, so you can have more participants. And we've talked about some of the other things before, but new things have come out since we last spoke. You can now attach files in the chat in Telehealth Plus, which is cool. So you can share files with the client or patient and send them across, which is really nice. There's also now a timer added to the practitioner view in Telehealth Plus. So
I wish we had that.
Yeah, it would be helpful. That would be good actually to see it, as we're doing these shows to see how long we're running. But yeah, so that actually shows only to the practitioner, of course, so that the client isn't seeing that side of it. But it just helps practitioners stay on time and be able to see how long their session is running. So that's been very cool. Now, we also have two different ways of handling the view in Telehealth Plus now. So you can either pin the speaker. So in that case, you've got one person that's pinned and they're staying as the main view in Telehealth Plus, or you can change to dominant speaker view, which means that it's picking up who's talking and changing the view that you're seeing based on that, which is very cool.
It is very cool. I like the pinned speaker view, especially for the group appointments, because if you're using Telehealth Plus and you got a lot of people on there, maybe everybody's talking, but you want to keep that speaker right in the view. I think that's an excellent way to go ahead and make sure that they stay dominant versus the other way where everybody could be popping up or whoever was really the speaker. So
exactly, yeah, and it can be, what it's like if you've got a group and everyone's got their microphones on, then maybe there's one person doing most of the talking, and someone else coughs or makes a comment or something that isn't really that relevant to the speaker. You don't really want the view changing to that person momentarily and then going back. So that pin just allows you to focus in and not get distracted by those sorts of things. You don't have to tell everyone to turn their microphones off, so, you want interactive. So that's good. So this is one of many things that have been rolled out with Telehealth Plus. So really cool to have that out there and available for people to use right now.
Yes, and please head on over there if you haven't already tested out Telehealth Plus. Please do so while it's in the beta phase. Because your feedback is going to help us to continue to improve this, and I know there's a lot of other fun things that they're going to be releasing soon too, so keep your eyes on it and definitely head on over and test that out.
The usage of it is great too, just seeing with the data on how many people are using Telehealth Plus and the number of consultation hours being delivered via that platform. So it's amazing to see. So yeah, really, really cool to have that out there. Product team and engineers are doing a great job on that.
They are.
Next thing, let's keep moving because we have so much to cover today.
We do.
Okay, insurance details are now can be added to the forms, right? So you can actually collect insurance details on the form. So you send out a secure form to a client to fill in. They would update their details or collect initial information. And a number of those fields are linked to real client profile fields, right? So in other words, the information gets merged into the client profile. Now, something that we haven't had and that people have been asking for is to be able to add in the insurance details. So whether it's your private, your private health insurance, and you want to capture that, or if you're in countries that might have some universal healthcare elements. So in Australia, we have a Medicare system and whatnot. Doesn't matter. It's all considered insurance under the way that the system looks at it. So whether you're in the States or Canada or here or the UK, and you want to capture that information from clients, you can now add that to your form, and it will collect it. So the client fills it in, and it will merge it and capture it in the system. So you don't need to then like copy and paste it in or do anything like that. It's right into the system. So this is brilliant. We've had a lot of requests for this, so that, again, it's all about making it more efficient to run practices. And it's an administrative step that now can be removed. We can collect that information, you can update information, etc., from clients. So very cool to have that out there and available for people to use.
It's exciting to see all of the I've seen a lot of these new linked fields coming through with the forms. And I think it's definitely the amount of admin work that's being cut down just by these simple little link forms. It's great. And I'm glad to see that that one's in there, because I could see like someone accidentally mistyping a digit. Now, if that happens, it's not your fault. Their fault.
Exactly. And it's more, it does reduce mistakes, definitely, like that. And also, it's logical to add, because you can sort of see why prior, the feedback was, hey, we're collecting that information using a field that doesn't merge into the actual content. Now, the reason we hadn't released this earlier is that from a technical point of view, it's actually quite complicated, right? Because it's not just sort of updating, one, it's there's more involved with insurance, capturing that and getting that into the right spot in the. So it was something that was, part of a sort of series of, releases that we have done. But, now it just saves time, means it's all in there, one less step for admin to do. Or if you're running a solo practice, it means one less thing you as a practitioner has to do. So either way, it's an absolute win.
I love it. That's perfect. Great. I like it. Let's keep going. I'm really excited about this one. This kind of time, the client portal, and seeing a new improvement there with the group bookings and being able to pay online. That's exciting.
Right. Exactly. So group bookings is a relatively new addition to the client portal, so that people could book into that. And of course, people want to be able to also collect payment for the group booking. So that was something that was sort of part of a phased rollout. So the way that we're developing things, and it's a slight sort of shift in our approach too, in that what we do is we try and, when we're developing features, we release them in small increments as we go. So rather than saying build everything and have people wait, we'll sort of release things in stages. So stage one was, let's get the classes or the group bookings available to be booked in the client portal, which was out recently. And now we've got the next phase of that out, which is that you can collect payment for those via the client portal, much the same as you can for other appointment types and whatnot in the client portal. So this means that, and you can configure that to say if you want to collect or don't want to collect payment, the same as you can for
partial payment, a full payment, and all you have to do is, when you're making the group booking slot, is make sure you select the default service, so that that will automatically pop. And that's how it started. It started with the group booking and getting that default service. That was the phase one. And now the phase two is, now that it's over in the portal, people are able to go online, book, pay as they choose, whatever works for your business, full payment, partial payment, whatever you want to do. Or you can put it on there with no payment, but collect that payment in advance, make those people come, reduce those no-shows, and then they can go ahead and continue through. But you do need to connect to Stripe to collect the payment. So
that's right.
Make sure you can connect to Stripe. And if you haven't done that already, shame on you. Connect to Stripe. Take care of your business. Help your admin staff out. Get those payments done in advance. I think it's great. I think it's great.
The Stripe integration is great. It allows people to collect payments in all sorts of just convenient ways. And even if people have got other ways that they collect payments by default, let's say they've got a terminal on their desk or something that they use, like a a credit card processing machine or an FPOS machine, whatever it might be. It's actually good anyway to have it as a backup, because you can, sometimes you're collecting payment on the phone, or you want to send out a link to an overdue invoice. If you've got Stripe connected on there, you can send out a link, to a client for an overdue invoice, and it will just send them this sort of secure link where they can just, enter their details and pay without even having to log in, and done all securely. So there's lots of reasons to integrate with Stripe, but this is actually one of them. This now allows classes, and we've had requests around this. We're very happy to have this out there for people to use.
Excellent job, team.
Okay.
I like it.
Next one, now improvements to the letter preview. Okay, now,
all right.
A little bit of backstory to this, but one of the sort of feedback that we were getting. So to start with, a letter preview, this is a communication template. Okay, so you're in a practice, you've got to send letters to referrers and to physicians and so forth who might be interacting with your practice, sending patients your way. Excuse me. So you'd set up a letter template, and then that letter template would have merge fields. And so when you would be seeing a client and you're creating a letter to send off, you would click, go into their correspondence, say create a letter, use that template to get the letter, blah, blah, blah. Now, the problem was that the way that the editor looked and the dimensions of the editor didn't match the standard letter format, the page width, say, of whether it's US letter format or Australia or UK letter format. So what would happen is that what you actually seen and how you were laying out the letter in the editor didn't really match as nicely to what the printed version of that would look like when someone actually had print it and sort of send it. Right. And so that was sort of one, issue that people were talking about. And the second was the ability to see what the printed version would look like whilst you're editing, right? Because they were sort of in separate sections of the system, in that you set up the editor, and then to see it in action, you'd kind of have to go into a client profile and create a sort of fake letter, if you like, to see what the template was looking like. So it was sort of a little bit of a disconnect in that, while you're formatting the letter and trying to get it to look nice and see whether your layout is going to work, you're kind of having to flick between, like setting it up and then going into a sort of typically fake client, producing a letter. Oh no, that doesn't look right. Going back to the editor. So it's just a little bit sort of clunky, to do. So what we've done, changed the way in which the page or the editor looks and the width of it, the dimensions of it. So that's going to more like, you can never get it 100%, but it will much better now match what the output will look like. So it's a much better experience. The width and so forth, dimensions of that is good. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is we now have this save and preview on the editor. And what that does is it sort of mimics what the action is of printing it if it was for a client. That makes sense, right? So instead of having to go to a client profile and test what this is going to look like, you can just save and preview when in the editor mode, and that will actually then show you, hey, here's an example of what it will look like. Right, it doesn't merging content or anything, because it's obviously not, it's not a client letter that's been generated, but it shows you a preview of what it's going to look like in the printed version. So it just means when you're setting up the editor, you can check the printed version, what it will look like as you're doing it much more quickly.
Oh, dang, Damien, we are having technical difficulties. So I want you to go back, because I want to make sure everybody heard you, because you're coming in clear now. We had just a little bit of technical difficulties. So take me back. So now you have, talk to me again about this save and preview version. So you're in the editor, you've made your letter. You can now click save and preview, and you've made your template. You click save and preview, and it will pop up, and you'll be able to see what it would look like that you would be printing if you had done the letter on the client profile. That's
it. That's exactly right. Yeah, exactly that. I think that is sort of like the best summary of it, of what you've just said.
I simplified it for everybody, but yes, I think, again, because before you'd have to go back and make that like test letter or whatever to see it. Now you've kind of just cut out that process, And right there from the template creator, you could save, preview, get a really good look of how it's formatting, how it's going to fit on the page, and then move forward and actually start using the templates and be happy with the way they look.
That's it.
Good. Okay, I like
You
it.
got it.
Hey, look at me, expert now. Woo! Okay, good. All right, let's keep going. That's excellent. Again, I think that's going to be a time saver. And I think I have seen chatter about, letters and templates and all that stuff. So I think that we're going to have a lot of happy customers out there. And we didn't make a really big stink about that. So I'm glad that we took the time to talk about it today too. So that's good.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is something, it's one of those sort of quality of life things that we kind of think about when we're looking at features and looking at requests. It's sometimes there are major features that people are requesting, and we'll sort of build those in, like some of the stuff with the client portal we were just talking about. But then these are sort of smaller things that are little annoyances that people experience, and we're always looking, to that and say, okay, if there's a bit of friction somewhere where it's just not as smooth as people would like, and we can see a better way to do it, then we'll put that on the roadmap. If there's enough, people are sort of talking to us about it, and then we'll try and build something that's going to solve that problem and just make it that experience better. And we learn all the time. I mean, it's our wonderful users all around the world who tell us what they like, and if there are things that they go, this could be a bit better, then we're always sort of listening to that, and we learn, and we'll go, okay, let's put our heads together, figure out a different way that we can make life easier. So
it's
good. It's good fun to get some of those things out there.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Next
let's
one.
Keep going.
Let's jump in. Changes to the help manuals. Help menu. I'll try and speak clearly. I get excited. I talk too fast. But if you go across to the main menu and you click on the help function there, you'll see we've got some a couple more options in there now. So there used to be like it would sort of trigger like a pop-up where you can sort of the beacon that we call it, but you can ask for help and so forth. But what you'll see now is a link there to our status page as well. So now you can sort of click on get help, and that's going to take you to, well, essentially the same experience that you had before. You get the little beacon pop up and you can ask questions and whatnot. Then there's a knowledge base link there now option that takes you to the full knowledge base. So if you want to see the full what that's there, so it makes it easier to kind of get to, and then a system status. And so what that does means you can click on that. We have a status page, and it means that if there's an issue being experienced, or we're doing some maintenance or something where we would, people click on that and actually see the status page. And it just means that it makes it easier for people to kind of check on something, or, if they're having, like, let's say they've got an issue with their browser or something isn't quite, they're not sure, hey, is this something that's occurring like on their end?
Is it me or is it you?
Yeah.
Is it
That's
me,
right.
or
So,
go to the status page and it's right there. That I like that, because I think that is an overlooked place. Like maybe it's hard to find, but now we've made it really easy, and you can just pop on over there and is it me or is it you? And you can kind of see, and they're doing a good job of updating that. I actually think so. The first one is get help, which will launch the beacon and get you access to articles that are within the beacon, which kind of takes it searches a knowledge base, and the live chat, yeah. Okay, so I think you accidentally said that one twice. You said system status twice. You were just so excited that the system status is now in the help area. It's okay. I was excited to see it in there too. So I think that's great. And then the live chat, and we've got our team. I guess an update on that is, we got weekend coverage now too, don't we?
We do have weekend, yeah, exactly. And almost 24/7 of that as well. Like we are there. So you jump on there. There is Saturday, Sunday. We've got coverage as well, and that's globally. So we're going. We have, as we have our support team based in different regions around the world. So primarily out of Australia, UK, and US. And those teams with the time zone sort of all overlap, and they actually hand over to each other as well. So as one team sort of is finishing up, they'll hand over to the next team and interact and talk about what what's happening. And so it's this sort of nice handover that goes around, around the world, and then on weekends as well, as you mentioned. So
yeah, I think this
good.
is actually, this new help menu gave us a really good time to plug that customer success team because they are doing amazing. And I always like a good plug for our team members. So yeah,
it's
kudos to them too.
Yeah, phenomenal. It's really, it's amazing. That they, how efficient they are too. Like that they are really, very, very passionate, fired up group of
They
people,
are.
and it's wonderful to see. So it's good. And they, I mean, just a slight side note, but one of the things that we really focus on with our support team is getting people that can explain technology, explain things in just normal plain speak. So you never want to go, I think, and get support and feel like the terminology being used is confusing or that it's sort of overly technical. We actually our priorities, we get people that are good communicators and we train them in the tech rather than go the other way. And it's great. So it's really fun watching the feedback that comes into that team because it's lovely to see all the lovely comments that they get and feedback that they get. So anyway, little side plug to them.
I love the side plug because I'll tell you, if I got a question, I'm going to them. Hey, can you put this in Danielle terms, because that's a little bit over my head, and then they'll usually we'll be able to figure it out, and they'll be able to tell me, and then I'll be able to figure it out. So they're great. Yeah, they are fantastic. Fantastic team there. Good little plug for them on the help. So head on over to that help new menu. We got you covered.
Exactly. Next thing is we've got some new pronoun merge fields that you'll see in the system. Now, this is part of a wider upgrade that we're doing to the way that we handle pronouns, gender, sex in the system. So at the moment, we have the capacity that people can kind of customize the way that is sort of set up, but it's limited in the sense that we are not distinguishing between or having different kind of fields for gender identity and sex. And then we have capacity at the moment where it does merge in some pronouns, but not in as sophisticated a way that really optimally meets the needs of people. So what we're seeing there now, and you'll see these new these fields. And I won't go into detail about how they all work because there's a help article up that you can sort of see, but just to flag that they are in there, and it is part of this wider upgrade that will, when it's completed, which isn't too far off now. We're getting very close. I saw recently our last product update where we were up to, that really will allow everything to be recorded in the client record in the way that is flexible and makes sense, and capturing all the key data on that, or the key elements of that, and then ensuring that the merge fields operate in the right way to reflect that uniqueness. So that way that we can kind of set it up, and it can be set up as a custom for each account, can set up that depending on the client group that they're providing services to, and to match that kind of need. And then within the client record, that can also be updated individually there to make sure that it matches. And then when you're producing letters and any correspondence, it will then automatically bring in the right pronouns and the right language to kind of reflect that. And we've had some expert consult on this as well to make sure that we're matching with the community needs, and we've had great feedback from various users as well to kind of help us make sure that we're dialing that in exactly right. So really excited about this, and that we'll see a few more releases, and right now you'll see some updated things in there. If you head over to Help Desk, we'll have some more information on that as well. So it's good.
It's very good.
Okay, now some smaller things. We're going to just quickly
hit the small things.
Yeah. So log file entry now when a communication template has been saved. And so this is something wasn't being logged before if a communication template was being updated and then saved. And so the log file captures all the things that are happening in the system. This is something that if there had been a change to a template, sometimes people would be like, hey, when did that, who changed that? Like there might be new wording or something put in, right? And there might be a few people that have access that within an account that have set up access, that have access to the templates, right? And so there'd be a change, and maybe the practice manager or the owner of the practice would say, hang on, I don't like that wording. Like, where did that come from? So now we log it. Yeah, we log it. It just allows a better kind of audit trail to see, when something was changed, but also if there was maybe a change to terms and conditions or something that's contained within a letter, there's a record there that, hey, this is when that template was actually updated. And so it's an easy way of people going back and looking at the log file and going, oh yeah, that was changed on that date. So it just allows better auditing for that.
I like it.
Next one was again a small thing, but if you were to, you can set up Outros so that an account for a client is being billed to a third party. So maybe it's their employer, or maybe it's an insurance company. There's all sorts of different scenarios. Maybe government department, could be anything. Now, when sometimes you'd end up with duplicates of that third party, so maybe there's been a couple of different entries for it in the system, and then at some point people want to merge the third party profiles into one, just like you can with clients. If you end up with duplicate clients for some reason, like you've ended up entering them with different spelling or something, and you want to merge them into one, you can do that. Now you can do that with third party profiles, but what would happen is we've now made a change to make sure that that when you do that, that all the information is updated on the related clients, right? So that it's updating the sort of the information from if we look at the who the default biller is and who the payee is on all those invoices, it's just making sure that neatly that merge of the client of the third party profile is reflected on the invoices in the right kind of way, and all reflected on in the actual client record. So just look, again, it's a small quality of life thing. It just means that people don't need to sort of go back and make a change, to that or to future invoices that are coming up, and makes it just a little bit easier. Takes away a friction point.
I like a quality of life update. Good for me, good for you. Let's do it.
Yep. And then another thing along the same lines is just sort of more, again, along the lines, more of like making sure things are intuitive, but you can, within practice, can set up on the client portal to not allow cancellations, right? So that's an option about, do you allow cancellations? And if you do, what's the time frame that you allow them, and so forth. But you can say, well, I don't allow cancellations at all, which is fine. So depending on how the practice is set up. But now we hide, if someone has that set, then we hide the cancellation option from showing, right? So rather than just make it like an active button or something on there, where which then makes it look like they need to do something else to make it, to cancel. If cancelling isn't an option for customers, for patients when they're on the portal, then it makes sense. We shouldn't show a cancel button, rather than just have them click it and say, oh, it's not available. So it's just something that, again, it's a very minor thing in one regard, but again, it's just to sort of smooth the experience. And, we had, comments and feedback about that. And so if there's something causing a bit of confusion or something that's a bit necessary, then of course we'll always look to just make little tidy ups and make it more intuitive wherever we can. That's, I think for today, that's probably going to cover the last few weeks of things that are out and released. You've got some other things you want to talk about though, in terms of awards?
Oh my goodness. My favorite, it's like award time. My favorite time of year. It happens 4 times a year. And we are now into the summer awards for G2. So, again, independent review software, or independent review site that reviews all sorts of softwares from across the globe. And we did really good this time. We did 16 awards. 16. Yeah. I mean, do I list them all, Damien? Do you want me to?
Yeah, to put it in context too, there's over 500 software platforms that are being in our categories, that are I guess you could say competing against in one way, but looking at what the various feedback is, right? And so why don't you run us through a few of them? I know we've got a whole stack of them, right? which is amazing. But why don't we run through some highlights here of the sorts of things
I'll
that
run-
Powered RA is? Yeah.
I'll run through some highlights. So I like this one, and this is so fastest implementation for medical practice management. That means you can get up and you can get running. So we got fastest implementation. I actually think this is a new award. I don't think they've done this category before, so I think it's a whole new category, and I really like it because when you're thinking about coming on to Power Diary, you want to know you can get up and started quickly. And so to get that award, I think that's huge. And then we also got fastest. So there's two. They got the small and the regular size. So we got it in both. So we're a small business. That's where we fall. We're not a big conglomerate. We're not huge. We're not like some Silicon Valley. We're on the. We're a small business while we're at it. But so we got small business medical practice management and regular medical practice management. So that's going against the big guys too. So to get that fastest implementation award, I just think that's huge. Also, we got leader in the small business medical practice management. Excellent. High performer in physical therapy, mental health, and medical practice management. So again, because we cover so many different kinds of different kinds of allied health professionals, we get to fall into all these different categories, and we really try to be true to that. We don't try to just funnel all of our reviews into one, category, which people do.
Yes.
We really want it to be, if you're a physical therapist and you're using our practice management software, we want you to rank us as such and how we work for you. And so, getting these in these different categories really shows you that we're not cheating the system. We're being honest. We're having people really rate us for what we do. So we got physical therapy, mental health, which, psychologists, counselors, substance abuse counselor, all that kind of funnels into, and then also the medical practice management category. So awesome.
We sometimes, just on that point too, don't we? Sometimes we'll see companies that they will try and, without using any names, but sometimes where you'll see companies that will sort of artificially try and skew feedback by only allowing themselves to be listed in one category, and it's not necessarily the best category for them to be listed in. So it means that in comparative sort of analysis, it looks like they're kind of doing really well because they're not really getting compared with other systems that are catering to the same, population. So when we take sort of the opposite view, and we just want people to rate us based on exactly the category that they're using us for. So if they're using us for physical therapy, or they're using us for mental health or psychology, then we think it really gives prospective users the most sort of direct and usable and sort of honest kind of feedback, because they can see what people within their own profession are saying about the utility and how their experience with Powered RA in that profession. And it's sad to see people trying to sometimes, do things a little bit different, but, if you, where they try and funnel it in, but it's something definitely to look out for. If you're looking at their review, have a look at what categories that they're actually appearing in. And is your specific category is it an option? If they're not listed in that category, then there's often a reason that they're avoiding that. So having that kind of breadth, and we, it makes it harder, because when you're in lots of different categories and you're being evaluated across lots of different things and very precisely for that particular profession, that's tougher, because you're being sort of critiqued on much more nuanced kind of elements of, for physical therapy, does it have this, and this, and this, and you're competing against, software that is other people in that category that are focused on that, that health segment. That's a lot tougher. But it's an important, I'm glad you raised it, because it is something that you sort of, you see people take different approaches. Ours is just any category where people are utilizing our software, we should open that category up so we can be rated, and good, bad, or indifferent, we're going to get the feedback. It's going to be there. It's going to be there for people to see, and then they can make more informed decisions. So, but it also means that when we get these awards across,
that's what I'm saying.
These different segments, it's sort of even more exciting for us, because we can see that it's actually people from those professions rating us, in their exact category, and that's very cool. we like it. You know,
it's very cool. It's very telling of the work that we're doing. And again, you're 100% right. Like, we are not skewing these results. These are, people are independently, they're going there, they're reviewing us, and we are then able to get these awards. And I love that we are hitting so many different categories, because it's not easy to get, all these reviews to come in. I mean, who wants to go and write a review? We'd love for you to write us a review. Please go write us a review. But, they're taking their time out of their day to do these. And it's just awesome. So 16 awards, so many. I'm not even going to list them all. I'm not going to work, but we will post them all on our Facebook page, on our LinkedIn. We'll let you guys know about them. Head on over to G2. You can see them for yourself. We'll also put them on our homepage and all that stuff. But thank you to everyone who did review us. If you haven't reviewed us, head on over, pick the category that works for you. We appreciate it. So
definitely.
Awesome stuff. Great job, team.
One thing I'll just say too on this point is around a few of these awards that we've got recently too had got the ROI award, which return on investment. Now I like that because that's sort of looking at how people view the value that Power delivers to their business. That's something we've always been focused on from day one, to make sure that like the way that, by utilizing Power that it becomes the central operating hub of your whole business and should deliver outstanding value, cut down your admin overhead, blah, 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 right? So it's really cool to see that when people are rating, we're actually winning some awards in a bunch of different categories on that very topic. So that people say.
I love, Damien, that you were looking at. I love that you honed in on that one. He's like, best ROI. That's what I want. I want everyone using my platform to get the most out of it and like to get the best ROI. I'm like, I want them to get up and start it. So I love that we both picked two different ones to hone in on too. I think that's fantastic. Awesome. Okay, well, good. Let's keep going. We're doing a great job, I think, on time. I do want to talk about your upcoming Power Talks, and then we'll talk about your last Power Talk. So your upcoming Power Talks will be co-hosted with Justin from our customer success team, and it's about how to grow your practice with reports. So for everyone asking for a feature-focused webinar, Damien and Justin are ready to go. So tell us a little bit about this one real quick.
Yeah, really, reports allow you to get data, if you like, on how your business is operating. So, of course, we have the reports you'd expect that involve, invoices and sales and looking at that side of things. But we also have a lot more reports that people sometimes, are not utilizing as much or don't realize the power of these reports. So things like client retention, looking at how different clinicians are performing across your practice in terms of number of sessions that they're providing in an episode of care. And so we have some really good stuff to talk about there, about how that works. We look at the importance of tracking debt and outstanding receivables and the timing of how far behind, if there are invoices that are going to 30 days, 60 days, and God forbid, 90 days plus, how to kind of get reports on that, how to get reports to reconcile your books and to look at, okay, what happened on a particular day or a particular week? What cash should I have? What electronic payments did I receive? And have all that kind of summarized. So with a bunch of different things. We also talk in this, we're going to have content on referrers and looking at how to look at referral patterns and to be able to identify who your best referrers are, how to pull data on what the value of the referrals that referrers are sending. So there's some reports that allow you to see how much has been invoiced from the system that is linked to a particular referral and how to rank that. And we'll also look at in the reports actually how those reports work, because you can do all sorts of filtering and ordering and grouping in the report. So even though you get the data, it looks like a normal table, like an Excel table or something with data in it. There's a whole lot of really funky stuff that you can do to actually filter columns, and you can group it together. People often don't realize you can drag those columns into the header of the report of the thing, and it will then group it and say, okay, I want to group by practitioner, I want to group by referral, I want to group data based on the service type, and it will reorganize the data and give you a breakdown on that grouping. So some really cool stuff. Really excited to
Warning
do that
alert,
with
Damien is
Justin.
geeking out on reports. Damien
I am
is
geeking
geeking
out.
out.
Yeah, I am. I do love it because it does allow you to have the finger on the pulse, of your business and to see, how your business is operating and to, use data to make decisions. It makes it, even like supervising clinicians within a practice and looking at performance. Using data gives a really good kickoff point for a conversation, right? And it doesn't mean the data in itself doesn't mean that a practitioner is doing well or not in either direction, but it gives you a talking point. So let's say the number of sessions that a practitioner is having is less than the average, like for the practice. That may be explainable, or it may be a flag that there's an issue with engagement or with treatment. Or conversely, it could be that they're a super clinician and are treating people and getting them better faster than anyone else in the practice. So it doesn't mean, that the data necessarily says a good thing or a bad thing, but it allows a conversation. And when you see something that's deviating from the trend, then you can actually use that to have it. And I'll talk in the webinar.
So head on over.
I won't geek out too much now.
Register now. PowerDiary.com/webinars. Click on it. It's going to be the last Tuesday of the month, and Tuesday, Wednesday, because the way the time zones, they're going to do it 3 different times so that we can hit all the regions and you can find a time that works for you, because we know your time is precious. So head on over, register for this webinar. For all you guys looking for the feature webinar, it is on its way. And Justin and Damien are geeked up and they are ready to go. And I'm excited to watch this one as well, because I always need to learn a little bit about reports. So I think that's great. All right. So now we're going to do it. We're not going to go into a huge thing, but we are going to talk about, so your last Power Talks was with your brother, Paul, our CTO and co-founder, and you guys did a whole webinar on ISO security. You talked all about our ISO security and how it's great for your practice and what you can do. So that, I thought that one is now available to rewatch. Yeah. So if everyone hasn't head over there, and if you haven't had a moment to kind of learn about Power Diary's journey to ISO, what the benefits, what ISO means, please, you need to head over to www.powerdiary.com/webinars and rewatch that webinar. That must have been fun for you to get you and Paul on there. And
it was. And what we're referring to here, if people aren't sure, so we've recently received our ISO 27001 security certification. As we talked about in the webinar, it's a very in-depth process, but in summary, what it does is it looks at ISO 27001 looks at the world standards, the best, the highest possible standard of how you should manage data securely. And it's not just the technical element of the data security in terms of encryption and penetration tests too, but actually how the whole organization operates. Right down to our HR, our processes, our training, our onboarding of our team members. It's every element of how you operate a business that handles sensitive data and how you keep that secure. So it's a really tough standard to meet. It's involves external auditors and a whole process. So we talk about that a lot. We've achieved that recently as certification in that. It means, a lot in terms of the way in which practitioners can be confident about how their data has been managed and how they can talk to their clients and patients about that. So it's very, very cool to have that out there. So yes, a whole webinar on it.
Head over, watch it.
Yeah, and we're putting more information on our website as well about it. So
yeah,
you can point people to it.
Yes, head on over. Yes, and we're going to actually do some more on that later on. So we're keep building that security page, because we really want to make sure that all of our customers, anybody coming to Power Diary, feels really confident in what we are, who we are, what we provide to you, our security levels. So we are constantly kind of working on all of those things to get you guys all that information. So that is what we're going to do. And I think we covered everything, Damien. Now, I don't have my stopwatch going, but I think we did okay. So we appreciate everyone. Damien, you got anything else to say today?
No, I think we should, we'll let people go. We've held their attention long enough. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for co-hosting again, Danielle. Great
Yep.
to talk about these features. And of course, if anyone needs any help, our support team is there.
That's right. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.